Hey, what else going on, guys? This is Dual Play Negative AE, and welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a little bit since I've uploaded. It feels like a common theme where I was kind of like taking breaks and then coming back because I wanted to keep you guys entertained, and then eventually got to the point where I was just too sad. So I wanted to take a long break and just kind of get my thoughts together and just play the game. Because I do want to finish this game. I watched a couple of the episodes before just to kind of go back to where we're at. Um, we're almost done. Look at how many things we have done out of all those pages. Like we're very close. So we're gonna keep going into this. I think the only ones we don't have are the ones towards the end here. These especially. So hopefully, pretty soon here, we'll be able to start getting some stuff done. We'll go here next. It happened so suddenly. Father Koizumi passed away. I never heard he was ill or wasn't feeling well. His chest started to hurt suddenly and he couldn't sleep. He called for an ambulance the first time in his life because he didn't think he could endure the pain. He was taken into emergency care, but he didn't live to see the morning. It was acute myocardial infarction. But in a way, maybe it was the best possible way to go. Being compared to being in bed for many years, slowly dilapidating and withering away, he was healthy until his death, so I think he must have lived a wonderful life. But still, it was too sudden. I wish I called him Father more. It's too late, though. Father Koizumi would never smile with his old wrinkly face to me no matter how many times I call him. He was my guardian until now. He always looked after me to make sure all of my efforts would be righteously evaluated. Maybe he did that because he couldn't help my grandfather's research when he was alive. But still, he was an important person to me. He wasn't just my political backup, but I didn't realize that when he was alive. I even thought of just using his power for my own agenda. But after he died, I realized. Father Koizumi was my grandpa. He provided the warmth and protection that I longed for from my own grandfather. At his funeral, I shed tears that I thought I forgot to. That I forgot how to. I'm sorry. Father, thank you for everything. I should have called you Father more, huh? No matter how many times I call him, he would never reply. What can I do for him at this point what I can do for him at this point is to complete the research. I must accomplish my goal for his sake. When my grandfather's research is acknowledged, Father Koizumi's name will be known once again for being the sole supporter of his research. I believe that is the best way to repay him for everything that he's done. I vow to devote myself into the research even more from this day on. But, unfortunately, bad things seemed to happen at the same time. It was like the tailwind was changed suddenly into the headwind. It was a sudden change in wind direction, so strong, so cold, so sad. What are you talking about, Jiro-san? Well, you know that Koizumi-sensei was the main political sponsor for the Irie institution, right? The establishment of this place was done all thanks to his strong political pressure in maneuvering related bureaucracies for its approval. He was indeed the top-ranking official who was known for the upbringing of the post-war pharmaceutical industry in Japan. He had huge political and industrial influence over these issues. So now that Koizumi-sensei is gone, his way won't work any longer? So far, it's only a rumor, so I don't know for sure, but I heard they're going to reconsider the allocated budget for the project. Are you saying the EDA institution will be closed? No, I haven't heard anything about reconsidering the EDA institution. But after Koizumi-sensei's death, the rumor says there are vast confusions among the old guards and their factions as well as the civil strife within the party for his successor. It seems opposing factions are gaining influence in the human resources of our client. So they may begin to dig deep into the holy treasure chest that is the Koizumi faction held to fund their project. For me to explain, wait, of course these are too complicated for me to explain, and besides, these may be just a rumor. Jiro-san said it's only a rumor repeatedly, but that is telling me that the wind direction has changed. Or maybe Jiro-san already knows everything and is simply trying to warn me that the wind will change suddenly. Then, at the next routine audit, Jiro-san told me, high government officials who had never been here came to this routine audit along with Jiro-san. Just seeing those faces, I realized the turning point is approaching. As you know, the Alphabet Project was created to strengthen post-war Japanese presence in the world through the view of developing defensive weapons. However, we are now in the 50s of the Showa era, and the 21st century is just around the corner. In this day and age, we must put the past behind us and start looking for a new world in the 21st century. And exactly what he said. Japan has already put the past behind, and it is cutting off its ties to the ghost that wished to regain the militaristic might of the pre-war era. It's been 40 years since the end of the war, and we have contributed to the world through various peaceful methods. We have created a strong alliance with the United States, and our country is a major player in world affairs. We have kept our promise to forever renounce war and nuclear weapons, and we are known as a nation of peace. In this coming century, our presence and influence will grow even larger. The Alphabet Project, the main sponsor of the EDA institution, are a group of people who want to find a weapon that would be a deterrent to the nuclear weapon in which Japan is forbidden to own. They come to this subsidiary like the EDA institution and tell us that Japan has renounced nuclear weapons. It's clear that there will be a strong and cold headwind ahead of us. The roll of dice that came up with 1 on that stormy day has showed up again. I won't let the result of dice affect me. My will won't lose against some playful trick of God's roll of dice. Therefore, we are going to review the Alphabet Project to one that's more suitable to our time right now. The new Alphabet Project will be figuring out the best way for this country to achieve a larger presence in the world affairs, not through militaristic means, but through peaceful measures like international trade and economic development. All of the people who have tremendous influence in the politics and economy of Japan were born before the war, so they want to regain the glory of pre-war Japan. They have an idea that if they research the bomb that caused Japan to be defeated, they can win next time. They are indeed the ghosts of the war. Now, everyone was thinking that. But they couldn't say anything against those people. Soon, the old will wither away and the new generation will take control. So Father Koizumi has the last remaining pillar for the old generation. It's just that his death is giving a chance for the new generation to step in. The things they couldn't argue are now openly being discussed. Some people pointed out that from the beginning the Alphabet Project was created to satisfy personal reasons of a small group of people, and it sucked the money out of the treasury. Then the new generation of politicians take over the old generation. Therefore, all the projects related to the Alphabet Project will be reviewed. Of course, the EDA institution is one of them. Please understand. I understand. We can't research without our sponsors, after all. We'll give you our full cooperation. EDA responds appropriately, but obviously he's bewildered. The best equipment and staff are being provided to the EDA institution. In other words, our research requires a huge amount of money. For those who are not interested in Hinamizawa syndrome, they probably won't be able to understand why that much money is being put into the research of disgusting parasites. If they are going to revise the budget, that's okay. We were in fact receiving more than enough money. And that is going to be adjusted. It hurts, but we can endure. That's what I thought. But enduring isn't the same as a roll of dice coming up as 1. So even in that sense, this is definitely a roll of dice coming up as one. Anyway, the new board of directors was created in April, and the new decisions came up for all related projects. For the details, please look for the papers I'm going to pass out. The papers are being passed around. He starts to go over the details, but I read through quickly so I can learn about their stupid decisions. The EDA institution has made accomplishments in finding out the mystery of the Hinamizawa syndrome as well as a cure for the disease. Board of directors are extremely pleased. We acknowledge the effort of Director EDA and his staff. Thank you. He's receiving congratulatory prize, but the tense mood surrounds me and EDA. It's customary to start a contradictory statement right before moving on to the main issue. If the main issue is something good, then start with something bad. Vice versa for something bad. The EDA institution had two purposes for their research. One was to research the disease and find a cure. The other was to study the possibility of utilizing the disease for the military purpose. The new board of directors has decided to stop the latter immediately. In this day and age, to be researching about biological weapons is an Achilles heel for Japan. The EDA institution must cease all related research and discard all of its contents. Understand. I comply. EDA replies immediately. EDA was assertive about finding a cure, but he was never even interested in researching its use for military purpose. So I'm sure he had no trouble concurring to such demand. But I don't agree, because research will be limited towards a cure. To me, researching a cure is simply a byproduct of my goal, which is to unravel the disease. Also, regarding the EDA institution, we have decided to wrap up the research within the next 3 years. The funding will decrease gradually as well. Wait, please. We've only figured out the mystery of Hinamizawa syndrome recently, and there's a lot more to learn about the disease so we can create a better cure. We're making progress, but we can't guarantee we'll come up with a complete cure in the next 3 years. The board of directors understands that you've already finished the research and created a cure. You've already produced the C117 vaccine, and there is data. No, it's not even close to being completed. We're still in the testing stage of C117. It's far from being able to cure all the villagers. It's obtuse to assume our research is completed when there's a lot more to research. I'm surprised EDA objected. Thanks to him, I didn't have to say anything. But if he didn't, I'm sure I would have stood up in hysteria. In other words, the EDA institution is not capable to cure all the people who are infected or to eradicate the Hinamizawa syndrome at this point, is that right? Yes. Of course, to cure all the villagers and eradicate the Hinamizawa syndrome will be possible in the future, and that is my biggest goal. But I need more time and also funds for that. Our job is to research, conduct trial and error, and then establish our theories. It's different from making something up or making something according to a blueprint. We can't accomplish things in a limited time frame, so please understand that. I guess EDA speaks out when he needs to, and what he's saying is absolutely right. You can't always accomplish something with money and time and a research, but I disagree with some of the points of what EDA said. He's objecting about time and funding, but he is basically agreeing to limit the research only towards a cure for the Hinamizawa syndrome. I won't do. We can't unravel the mystery. The discovery of the Hinamizawa syndrome won't be the great work of my grandfather. I see. I think I see your point too. Our main purpose is to dispose the fact that the research was conducted for a military purpose completely. So we think that we must forever hide the fact that the research was conducted on the strange disease called the Hinamizawa syndrome as well as its existence. If we can eradicate this disease without anyone knowing about it, then we will put in the necessary time and funds. We'll discuss more about that later. Is that okay? Yes, no problem. Then please submit a plan and a budget proposal and to eradicate the Hinamizawa syndrome in secrecy. We'll do our best on our part to okay your proposal. Thank you. I'll work on it immediately. Please don't misunderstand that it's not our intention to stop the research immediately. We want to conclude this research in the best possible way. Please understand that. Yes, of course I understand. While I was hearing their conversation, I was struck and dumbfounded with one of the statements. To eradicate the Hinamizawa syndrome in secrecy. That's the same as saying the Hinamizawa syndrome never existed. then my grandfather's name will never be known. Sound of rustling papers and the voice proceeding to wait. Sound of rustling papers and the voice proceeding fill the meeting room. I only hear the ticking clock as I clutch my sweating palms. So they're cutting research, but they need to keep it secret, which would explain any government cover-ups. Which is cool. They're slowly explaining things, which is nice. It's weird because now I feel like I have all the answers, right? It's just how are they going to end it is the question. Well, okay, I know all the answers, but I think the one that I don't know is what's going to happen later. So we can do Koizumi Sensei right now. Anything else we can do? Or is it just Koizumi? Koizumi. I guess it's just Koizumi right now. There might be something else we can do. We just haven't cracked it yet. Maybe we should wrap up for the day. I don't think you're in the mood today. Eh? That's not true. Sorry if I gave you that impression. Takano-san has been looking through the viewfinder, but I haven't seen her push the shutter at all. She came along, but I don't think she's in the mood for birdwatching. Takano-san has been depressed since the announcement of new policies at the new board meeting the other day. That's understandable. The NegativeAE institution was created by her in the first place. It was created to devote her life to the research of the Namizawa syndrome. All that to be rejected and asked to wrap up the research within a few years. Of course she's depressed. Besides, she can't spend the rest of her time on the research, or left on the research. The funding will be cut down gradually, and by the end they'll barely be able to do some cleanups, let alone research things. I hear she is the granddaughter of the late Dr. Takano, and her determination to finish up her grandfather's research is what kept her going until today. Since everything has been so smooth until today, this is a sudden change in wind direction that must have been a total shock. The coup of the masterminds in the government appears to be quite a big one. The new board of directors have been completely changed, and also the personnel shift has been taking place to people or projects that the Koizumi faction used to be involved in as a warning to others. This new wind direction seems to stay for a long time. It's highly unlikely that the Koizumi faction will come back into power. So no matter what that we say, it's almost impossible to expect the same kind of support for them. Is there something we can do? Takano-san matters? Unfortunately, there isn't. There is nothing anybody can do. At first, the board talked about stopping the research immediately, but after lots of convincing, they finally agreed to make it gradual suspension over a few years. The people who helped us when the EDA institution was created are the ones. See, it appears to be the worst situation, but actually, someone's hard-earned victory, huh? 3 years was the best they could do. I tried too, you know. I used your data to explain to the board and tried to make them understand how important this research is. Only 3 more years, huh? Maybe Takano-san doesn't understand how hard I tried to convince the new board. Because what she just said tells me the length of time left really doesn't matter. The fact is, the research is being stopped. The fact is that I couldn't meet her expectation and made her feel disappointed. Man, it hurts. The best I can do at this point is to route as much funding as possible towards the research so that you can research to your heart's content for the few years that we have left. Sorry. Can't do anything else. That's okay. If that's the best you can do, then I'm very happy. Her words hurt me. I wish she'd chosen different words, but I think that would be asking too much for someone who was hurt. I must understand that her pain at a time like this. Besides, I know how close she was to the deceased. What am I doing today? To the deceased Koizumi sensei. She even called him father. To her, his death is not just the start of a coup or a change in direction. We lost our guardian who had looked after her. No matter how hard she tries to look mean and bad, she doesn't belong in this world. She's just a normal lady. But she was intrigued by the Hinamizawa syndrome, and she had to find help from someone who has more power to be able to continue the research. The dark side of the world she shouldn't have been involved in, extended its hands to her. She's been left all by herself in that world, and she's still trying to put a strong-looking face. I'm sure Takano-san thinks that I'm an unreliable man. Realistically, I'm not the kind of person who can meet her expectations, nor do I have the power to. The least I can do is offer her my sincerity by being her ally until the end. As much mobility as she has, there are times I don't know what she'll do when she is cornered. I want to believe that she wouldn't, but I'm concerned she might do something at the very end. I hope I can support her at that very final moment before she makes the move. But I can't even gain enough trust from her for that. How pitiful and pathetic. As a man, I want her to count on me, but that's not it. She's abandoned in this world all alone, so someone has to be her ally. If I'm the only one who knows about that, then it's my job to be her ally. I know her too well to know that she'll never ask for help, or she never asks for help. Even if it's unnecessary, someone has to be with her. I know that. I don't think I'm suited for that job. I'm sure there are many reliable people out there who are better suited for the job than me. But I can't let her be alone until that person shows up. Takano-san, I know I'm unreliable and pathetic. What's this all of a sudden? What is it, Jiro-san? But I think I can be your help. So, thank you. But I don't believe that talking helps you feel better emotionally. Sorry. But I'm happy to hear that you're concerned. I really am. Oh, okay. That's fine. I'm always on your side. Please believe that, okay? Okay, I will. If you think of a good idea to convince the board, please let me know, okay? Sure. I'll do my best. Why is it? I know she's such a strong person and there is nothing someone like me can do for her. But somehow I feel she needs help and support now. She looks as tough as usual, but only I, who has been taking pictures of her all this time, can tell. Because a viewfinder is also a window to look into someone's heart. But if I say something like that, she'll tease me again, so I won't. Anyway, I think she needs support more than ever. I think Takana's like far gone. Like, I don't know how they're gonna convince her. Cause like maybe if we give her support right then, like as a thing. But I also feel like that might not do anything. Okay, so I'm just making sure that there's no like lit up cracks things. So that means we have to click on something random. What do we got here? I think we've done that. Hey, Nakagawa-kun. Long time no see. So, have you been doing that? You know. Oh, it's not fun getting old. You must concentrate when you work with clay. If you put it off for a long time, your senses get dull and there's no point. Sensei, allow me to introduce Major Takano. Very nice to meet you. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me today. I truly appreciate it. I really didn't make time for you, actually. I was told that you have good raw sea urchins. Sea urchins are good for you, you know, rich in vitamin A, and they're good for your skin. Women like sea urchins, right? Wahahaha. It's true that sea urchins are rich in vitamin A, but compared to spinach, it's not anything worth making a big fuss about. Well, none of that matters here. He seems to be an unpleasant man, so I just wanted to criticize him. These men are the directors of the Alphabet Project who hold the funding for the IDEA Institution. Also, people are in positions of being able to offer their opinions. Also, we're gonna jump. I just realized we're gonna jump from like time to time, so it's gonna be hard to like figure out where things are. I think this is before anything happens with the research. People are in positions to offer opinions to those directors. To put it in a simpler way, they are the new owners of the EDA institution. Although not as much as Father Koizumi was, they're the leaders and masterminds behind various fields. I have to be very careful not to accept them. Therefore, there's no way I could have had the ability to call them in. By using the influence that Koizumi faction once had, I finally managed to get this chance. Oh, maybe this is ahead of where we are. Father Koizumi gave me his full support to make everything go my way. Is not here anymore. I'm on my own from this point now to open up a path. But this isn't my solo stage today. I can't let the people who offered me this chance lose face, so I have to wait patiently until it's my turn. The purpose of today is to explain how impressive a research topic the Inamizawa syndrome is, and to ask for indefinite extension of the research. The only thing they think about is money, so they don't even know about the hidden potential of the Inamizawa syndrome. They don't even realize it's worth spending a lot of money on. This is not a research to find the existence of an unknown parasite, but it is something that may overthrow the basic knowledge of human anthropology. A Nobel Prize can't even signify enough. It won't be easy trying to explain all that to the men who know nothing about it, but I have to. That's why I spent so many hours making it easy to understand support documents so it'll be easier for amateurs to understand. Sometimes we'll make confusing documents on purpose because we don't like people dealing with uneducated people, but this time is different. I can't look down on them. I must sincerely try to make them understand. It's easy enough. It's easy to understand support. It's easy to understand support documents are in a huge pile. I feel like we are wasting time eating traditional Japanese food in such a relaxed mood. I want to get to the point and explain to them in detail so they can understand. But there's a saying, an anxious... What is that saying? An anxious better gets a little? So I have to be patient. Gotcha. An anxious better gets a little. So if you're anxious, you get less. Sure. I understand. To be honest, I don't think the Alphabet Project was that great until now. In the end, it was really nothing than a sandbox play. All the old men think we are still in the Pacific War, a sandbox where those old men use connections so that they don't have to draw a dream of the Japanese Empire revival. Do you know how much public funding was wasted because of those old men's delusions? I heard they were pinning investigators on people like Okuno sensei and trying to catch them for embezzling the old board of directors. Wahahaha. That's what you get for trying to suck up on those old men. Of course, none of it can be made public, so I guess they'll be held responsible and or demoted in another form. This is what the country gets for letting these ghosts of war run around freely all this time. Boy, these grilled sea urchins are awesome. Wahahaha. This is rather hard for me to start. I'm really sorry to ask you something like this in the middle of all this, but if I may have a moment of your time. You're from the EDA institution, right? You're researching some sort of local disease in Nagano or Gifu, right? What's going on? The board decided to stop the research for the military application. The research itself is to stop within 3 years as well. No, sorry. That's still being discussed. Anyhow, the research is scheduled to be shut down within a few years. Ah yes, I remember now. The EDA institution had a bad reputation even among the old board of directors. It sucked up a huge amount of funding without any form or inspection. I don't know why, but someone high up kept pushing for it for some reason. Because of that, nobody could really say anything about it and it was left alone. But this guy loved to flirt around with women, so maybe that had something to do with it. Wahahaha. Trying to say that I used my body to hook up with Father Koizumi? He's insulting both of us. But I hold my anger in. Can't be bothered by something like this. Anyway, today I would like to explain to you about our introduced research details and would like to ask for you to reconsider the decision about the EDA institution. I truly appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend this meeting today. Well, I guess they don't give out free sea urchins for nothing, huh? Wahahaha. I explained to them how much the meaning of the Inamizawa syndrome carries while being careful not to go too fast. I try to let them know that the Inamizawa syndrome's potential is limited to small things like military application, but it has a much more important meaning. It may explain some of the ideologies and religions. It may even shake the very definition of a human being. I take my time and explain everything, explain very slowly. I'm not confident if all that had gotten through to those Boers men, but I happy if they understood even just a part of it. Jeez. As long as they can understand how much of a magnificent discovery the Namizawa syndrome is. Thank you, Major. I see. We would like to discuss among ourselves, so could you please excuse yourself? Yes. Thank you. Obviously, they can't discuss in front of me. I gave them all the documents with them. I just hope they can accept them, or they would accept them in a good way. I leave the room and close the sliding door. The room next door is a preparation room, so I head there. But I stop. I shouldn't be doing this, but I try to listen in through the sliding door. Oh my. Wahahaha. I don't know what to say. I feel sorry for everyone from the previous board of directors. I know. Koizumi-sensei persists strongly. I met him once before when he took the position of the founding director of XX Pharmaceuticals. He seemed like a very intelligent person to me. I guess you just can win against aging. Makes me realize how important final moments are for humans. But it is the fact that very rare disease called Inamizawa syndrome really exists. So not everything is delusion. Here, the EDA institution has already succeeded in misunderstanding the disease and understanding. Where did I get misunderstanding? Understanding the disease and develop a treatment? Not enough? For modern Japan, we have to be careful with events that might make neighboring cities or countries nervous. And I think military-related issues are the most sensitive ones. So at the very least, we must erase the fact that the research for military purposes has been going on for the past few years immediately. Is it separate from the discontinuation in military research? Yes. Even if we stop the research immediately, the fact that Namizawa syndrome is research to create a biological weapon remains. We should hide the fact no matter what purpose the research is for. If possible, it would be best if the Inamizawa syndrome disappears. That's true. If the disease remains, then sooner or later someone will become curious and dig up a hole which was filled by us. I think we should follow the decision of the board of directors. As soon as the EDA institution eradicates the disease, we should have them destroy all evidence of the research before disbanding. I guess that's for the best. It's not the matter of the research getting a Nobel Prize, but it is a useless research for the post-war Japan. Besides, the disease has existed ever since ancient times, right? And we've made it this far without any problems. I always thought of this research as just poking around from the bushes from something. Me too. I don't doubt the existence of the Namizawa syndrome, but Dr. Takano, who discovered the disease, is exaggerating the disease too much. When I was reading the documents, I thought he had a unique interpretation of things too. First of all, I'd never heard of a parasite that's capable of controlling people's thoughts. It's just too much. If we explain religions with this, then Buddha and Jesus are queen carriers, is that right? If we reveal something like that to the world, we'll get bashed from every single nation in the world. Religion is pretty scary nowadays. Wahaha. We got Wario in the room, guys. If there are parasites that live in animal brains, then I guess we can say they're parasites that live in human brains too. But for them to control human thoughts? Wahaha. That's way too unique, yeah? As I peek in through the gap of the sliding door, I'm trapped with an unbelievable sense of deja vu. This is my very first time experiencing this, but it doesn't feel like the first time. I don't know why, but the memory is so sad and so painful. Huh? 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 Tears. When I realize I see a very nostalgic carpeted room. One on the other side of the sliding door, not a tatami floored room. This room is filled with the smell of dust mixed with the smell of evaporated medicine, but the air is extremely soothing to me. And there is my grandfather. His article that he poured his heart into was denounced, and yet he wasn't even allowed to cry. This isn't a delusion. Because within the documents I left with those men, there are lots of references to the article my grandfather wrote. So I'm not surprised for my grandfather to be standing right there, explaining it to them himself. Together with my tears from the sight of my beloved grandfather, I watch these men insult and ridicule his great work. I've seen this sight before. And the sight should have ended then. But why is it repeating again? I can only peek through the sliding door blankly at this strange world where the reality and illusion overlap. The major is rather weird, and Koizumi sensei, who believes something as ridiculous as this, is weird too, but the weirdest one of all is the discoverer who wrote this article. It's mixed with expectations and delusions, and it makes it look like a fiction rather than a thesis. I think this will be a big hit once it gets published, you know? You're absolutely right. I have a friend who is the head of a publishing company. I bet he'll love this. Wahahaha. This is not a laughing matter, everyone. A huge amount of funds were put into this over the past few years. The worst thing is that the equipments to gas the villagers in case of an emergency have been prepared already. Nobody can find out about this. For such a plan to exist is scary enough. If people find out all the equipments are prepared, the whole country will be against us. On top of that, the cost to maintain the equipment is enormous. You don't think they're really being maintained, do you? Probably a fake project just to channel money through. I feel like if you just took control over a government, you could like blame the gas on the other government. Right? Like, wouldn't that be the smart thing to do? But like, hey, we just took over. Like, that guy just died, and we found out about this. And like, look at how stupid that was. And then you won't have to worry about the gas. And then you can be like, hey, they were also doing this and this. And say that we're not doing that anymore. You know? Like, change of government management is almost a blessing for these people, if they're so concerned. What did they say anyway? If a girl dies, the whole village will go crazy at the same time. What kind of comic are we talking about? Exactly. Who would believe in such a childish story and let a huge amount of funding into that? It's just crazy. If there's actually anyone who believes these documents, he is a complete idiot. As he says so, he places the documents down violently with an exaggerated gesture. Actually, I should say he slams them down, because the document papers are scattered all over the floor. You are right. Excuse me, I need to use the bathroom. One of the men stands up and steps on the papers. Not the documents on the tatami, but it's the grandfather's article on the carpet. Right there, I see my grandfather filled with heart-tearing sadness. Yet I can't show it on he can't show it on his face. Grandfather's face doesn't look different, but it looks crumpled to me. I even see the walls of his study crumple sadly. I jump into the room. I grab onto the man's legs. I don't hate him. No, it's not a matter if I hate him or not. Sure, I hate him, but that's not it. I can't forgive the feet that step on my grandfather's article. Don't step on them. My grandpa wrote these. Don't step on them. Wow, oh, sorry. I want to get those feet away from the papers which are still stepping on them. but they are so stubborn as if they had grown roots and I can't even push them. I beg as I grab onto his legs. I try to pull the papers from under his feet, but I can't move his feet. I can't pull the papers. Don't step on them. Don't step on them. My grandpa's... Don't step on them. My sobbing echoes in the silent room. Just like back then. Interesting. I hate when we end at 40 minutes because it's like there's like time left, but there's not, but there is. Because you never know how long these things are like. You never know. So we're done with page 3 though. That's good. We can hit number 2. We got 1 in number 1, which is sweet. 1 in number 2, 1 in number 1, none in number 3. We got 3 in number 4. That's a total of a bunch. There's a bunch. And then I'm imagining we get to these last. Yeah. And then we just have 6, and then 7 is just 1, right? Oh no, it's 2. So once we get through all those, we'll... Oh gosh, I think we can finish at least the first 3 pages, assuming that it works like that. Or the first 4 pages, I think we can finish in the next like episode or 2. And then we're out. We're almost done. We're almost done. This is the longest visual novel ever, I will have to say. I can't, like, show me a longer visual novel. I'm sure there's longer visual novels, but this is a long visual novel. I got some, like, killer visual novels planned up after this one, so. Also, we're going to be watching the anime after this, and I'll explain how that works when I get in there. But thank you guys so much for watching this. We're learning a lot about Koizumi sensei and Takano, and there's a lot of, like, they're just reinforcing the fact that she likes her grandfather so much, which is interesting. Because I know, right? Like, now it's just like, okay, well, what happened to like, what happens at the end, right? Is I guess the main question. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting. There's lots of stuff running through my head, but when it comes up, I'll talk about it then. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode, whenever that may be. Peace out, you guys.
I don't understand what's going on here.